What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Natal Knowledge. Today, we'll be talking about relationship advice for people on the spiritual journey. So, let's get into it. I've been meaning to make this video for a minute. I have a part one to it. I'll link it below. And I'm making this video partly, like I said, I've been wanting to make it, but inspired by, I just recently watched a new episode of Insecure, the HBO show, produced and written by Issa. It's on its 5th season, and the series is about to wrap up. Really great show. Reflects a lot of interesting things that everyone goes through. But the reason I'm inspired by it, and I want to make this correlation here with this, is in the series, through the series, it begins with Issa in a relationship with a partner, Lawrence, and they live together. Their relationship is in that state where we've been together about 4 or 5 years. We're shacking up. He's not in a good place. She's trying to find herself. They're disconnected, right? Eventually, as the show goes on, they break up. They go their separate ways. Now, they ultimately find each other again. But the key thing when they go separate ways is that Issa really goes on an evolutionary arc. Because she herself she's trying to find herself. She's not established. And it's further reflected by her position in her friend group. So she's surrounded by professionals or other women who or may have made it in some other capacity. You know what I'm saying? So they reflect a certain energy to her, which, could therefore make her insecure. But she's trying to find herself. And when she gets out of this relationship, she does. Now, the wisdom here is that for those of you on the spiritual journey, I got to start with my Venus in the 12th people, because it's like a karmic position where it's like, yo, you got to learn this. You didn't learn it in the past. You're here to learn it now. And this could be for others as well. And overall, I'm going to tie this into the world that we're evolving into. But someone with Venus in the 12th, karmically, has experienced all you really need to experience with partnership. So therefore, in the incarnation with the Venus in the 12th, they are re-experiencing and bringing to an end their partnerships, like a culmination of it, right? Through different reflections. So, wow, there's a part of me here, there's a part of me there, which shatters the initial thought that there's one soulmate, one ideal partner. So this part of that spiritual lesson is that no one person can contain everything you need in one vessel. You need different relationships in general to experience those different parts of yourself. Okay, so it's part of that lesson. And that's a spiritual lesson overall. It's heavily reflected in that position of the 12th house. Same could be said for a Venus in Pisces as well. So in that process, or one of the spiritual evolutionary developments with relationships, is embracing imperfections in others. And it ties in perfectly with this show, insecurity, right? Insecure. We're all filled up with these, and then relationships highlight those, and those inner insecurities cause different motivations and stuff like that, right? So people are perfectly imperfect, and you should seek to embrace that. And when you do, it's another layer of loving yourself and all of that. Then, so like I said, with Issa, she goes on this journey of really expanding. Now, naturally, and this is where I want to get to. So naturally, partnership goes like this in a logical sense, because there's a spiritual sense, there's a logical sense. So logically, it's like, okay, we're adults here, right? Like, I live alone. I pay all my bills by myself, right? But if I'm with someone and we live together and like I actually want to live with them, I won't have to pay as much. We might go half on it, or in some cases, how some people they're this person, I want someone to take care of this, and I'll take care of something else. These traditionally, this is how it's kind of been related to on a logical level. Okay, you do this, and I'll do this. Okay, now spiritually, when you get to a point of transcendence, you contain all facets within your being. So at one point in evolution, you needed to look outside of yourself for completion or balance. Seventh house, Venus. You needed to do that. And that is always will be the beauty of relationships. Even when you get to this point of having to contain, others still can provide these things. However, you're more consciously able to provide yourself with the said thing as well. So a simple thing, right, of or a principle of that is isolation or solitude. Being able to enjoy that like you would enjoy being with someone else, doing something intimately alone like you would enjoy doing it with someone else. All of this is key. So when you get here, there's an embracing of those things that need to recur. And when I relate this to the character in her journey, at some point she completely goes, even it reflects through conflict with her friends, but at some point she's estranged from her friends. She goes within and is completely focusing on her and what she wants. And the key thing here is that she's without influence of anyone saying, oh, you shouldn't do this. I don't think that'll work. And then the character develops, they go from their regular job, which they're kind of like struggling with, or she likes the job, but she isn't getting the respect that she necessarily deserves and stuff. And they make it like, like she's the black girl there. To in this solitude isolation period, she develops the idea and inner belief to create her entrepreneurial business, which then is really expanding. So within this time, just like all of us, she's in her fifth house of creating, self-actualization, expanding on self. But the fifth house is also what? The house of romance and dating. So at this time, she's playing the field, and the show shows this. She has her friends with benefits. Anyone watching the show know what I'm talking about. She has her friends with benefits. She meets this dude. It doesn't necessarily work out. This is real life. However, the real thing here is that she's in a state of freedom, of me. Like I'm not tied to anyone. I'm playing the field. I'm doing my thing, but I'm not tied to. Okay. So, like we're saying, what I want to highlight here to you guys is that there is a certain freedom in the ebbs and flows of partnership. And when another spiritual, point of evolving is knowing when to not partake, when to reject the offer, even though you're intrigued. Okay, so this relates in the sense of saying, people, you can't go from relationship to relationship. Just how, like, you need rest, right? You need rest from the daily grind. You need rest from a partnership. So don't get me, there are people who do this, but what I'm saying is, like, if you're in a real serious, committed years relationship, living with the other person, there's no way in which you should actually go into the next. That's not healthy. Okay, so and what we're saying here is that in this period, it's a state of actual self-expansion. And you get into the fifth bag in the sense of playing the field. Like, okay, the difference, like the fifth house and the seventh house naturally sextile each other, right? But the seventh house is where you evolve towards a commitment. The fifth house is like you're fielding the offers. And then the seventh house is like, all right, I'm going to commit to this one. Okay? So you go in these ebbs and flows and you're able to grow. So I want to really just hammer home that, like, for anyone out there who may be struggling to understand this, this could be Moon in Leos, any type of strong Leo position, fifth house position, seventh house position, embracing the alone time and putting it into you. So like I said, it's reflected in the show. Then naturally, Issa starts to flourish. Things are going good. She bosses up. She gets her own place. And then, you know, that's a thing. So I brought that up earlier about people saying like, hey, I'll do this, you do that. We're now in this world, people, age of Aquarius, women being super active in all fields, acquiring tons of power in their own right. I'm letting you know there's no obligation, or there should, in this new world, there's no pressure to, even if you are married, you don't need to traditionally live with your spouse. If you've had your own house before you got together, you don't need to sell your house and now have one house. No, maintain that. Now, this is where we get to know in our charts. So, Aquarius, Uranian people, right? Strong Uranus, let's say the 4th, the 7th, the 1st, 11th, all strong energy. There's a thing, even people with like Mars in the 4th, it just, a lot of positions can entail this, but a traditional home life won't necessarily bring harmony. It has to be unconventional. Even if it's like, yo, there are 4 weeks in a month, and some way, somehow, for 2 weeks a month, I have to be away from my spouse, but then for 2 weeks, I can just spend, you know, all the time with them. That, if that works, you'll find someone where that works for both of y'all. You have to, and the thing is, when you come into that clearer understanding of self or acceptance of that, when you're more willing to say, man, or like you meet someone, say you're a busy person, and you then meet someone who is not so busy and they want a lot of your time. The spiritually empowering thing to do is to acknowledge that, oh, I can't give you what you need. The selfish thing is to know that internally and keep it going, and then, you know, get the backlash from when they're voicing like, yo, I'm not getting my needs met. Communication is key. So the more that person, so when you go through an experience where it's like, hey, I don't, you know, I dig you, but I don't think this works for both parties, the universe, you will open up and allow for someone more in alignment with you in that makeup to come into your life, because you're consciously aware of it. It's not something that you need to become aware of. I was gonna say, I hope that makes sense. I know that makes sense. If it doesn't right now, run it back. Okay? So by becoming conscious and acknowledging of what you need, you therefore are not gonna attract what you don't. So I want to bring it back to Issa, right? So things are going good. She eventually gets into her next partnership. So I'm gonna just backtrack real quick. It's beautiful because it allowed, in this journey, it allowed her the time needed to go from the initial partnership into her expansion phase, in which she was dating and playing the field, and she reconnected with the old ex. Okay, and then drama and stuff happens, and then she moves on. She actually makes a wise decision. And those of you who watch the show now, and again, she makes a wise decision. Nah, man, I should talk about that. Okay. In the show, she gets back with her ex, but they were on the break and seeing other people. He ends up getting another woman pregnant, but it's not like him and the woman are together. She wants to keep it, right? He's honest with her and tells her that Issa has to sit with herself and be like, what do I do? And the interesting thing, if I remember correctly, she has 3 other friends. And I feel like 2 of them told her she did the correct thing by saying, nah, let's end this and you go do what you gotta do. And then the one friend who was married was like, nah, you should have like hold them down and be there. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? But in this regard, there isn't necessarily a right or wrong, but we could say, I feel as though, from my perspective, I, like her 2 other friends, I like the decision she made, because at that point in time, with her not having any, like, say her and Lawrence, the ex, didn't have children. Say they had children, and then this happened. It's different. It's like, all right, we're already family, or already connected, right? The bigger thing to do is to make this thing work. But in this case, no, it wasn't. It's like, I don't have no kids. I'm unattached. I'm here. I'm expanding. This might limit me. The wisdom here is Saturn is exalted in Libra, and it entails and means a lot of things. But in one regard, relationships are limiting. No matter how good they are limiting. What do they then limit? When I say you go from the 5th house, you filled in the office, 7th house, commitment. It's kind of taking you off the market a bit. Or it limits other things, because you therefore have to be conscious of who? The other. But like I said, it tells a lot of things. So the wisdom here, why I want to bring this up, people, is that, like, man, even with marriage, like, there's some people who think like, okay, I'm not gonna be like, not like, say I'm not gonna date people with kids because whatever. But when you do put yourself, in certain scenarios, you have to acknowledge the Saturn in it. Okay, what limitations are coming with this? Another example, if a person isn't financially stable and then y'all go to live together, and that's what we're trending to and getting to, but there you may be taking on their debt, or that's becoming a part of your reality because you're now going into the 8th house. Okay. So I like the decision she made of like, hey, I gotta pump the brakes here. Love you, but do your thing. Because this brings to the next element of life. I've always been living by it since I was a teenager. If it's meant to be, it'll come back, man. That's faith right there. Yo, why not end good? Why not end with peace? Throw it into the ethers. If we wrap back around, it's meant to be. Or at least meant to be for that time again. Alright. So, Issa goes, gets in a partnership with, again, the new guy, right? Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is like TV, and I don't know what the timing is supposed to be on this. But it feels like y'all been official for a couple of months. Okay? I know it's TV. It's not years, a couple of months. And then because I'm a person and I've experienced things, I know how people go and think. So let's just hypothetically say Issa's been with this new guy and they've been dating. They've known each other, they were friends and stuff a while. Let's say they were friends a year, but now they've been dating for 6 months officially. Homie says we should move in together. Now, I'm also bringing this up because, ladies, I want to let you know that is some low-key, it can low-key be toxic. And then this is where we use astrology and our intuition to keep us, on tilt. So say you, man or woman, dealing with this person, and they got this, Cancer stellium, and it's squaring, let's say, Neptune or Saturn or something, right? And you're acknowledging, or you feel the energy from them, like, yo, this person is demanding, or they may not be financially astute how I need them to be, right? Or with desire. Would you honestly go just because they offer and say, yo, I think we should move in together? Would you really do that? You'd be going against your wisdom and your knowing. So, like I said in the show, Issa kind of goes through it, but there's an episode where I think she's contemplating what the future will be like, and then he's there. I don't know. But I bring this up once again to just preface, in this world, y'all, this world we are in, you can be happy and happily in love, in partnership, committed as hell, but maintain a healthy level of independence. Ladies, it's more for you because in the history sense, these rights weren't afforded to your grandma, your great grandma. They put up with some shit that you don't have to. So I just wanted to relay this message, man. If y'all want to share this video, get this to Issa Rae. You know what I'm saying? She's the homie. I love the show, love the series. Shout out to all the filmmakers, potential actors, actresses out there. As above, so below. This is life, and life imitates art. Okay? So that's my interpretation, my episode for today. Like, comment, let me know what's going on. If you need a reading, click the description link. Check out my new book, Astrology in the Matrix. Until next time, peace.